Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah. So the first question here is, what is the relationship of the orbits of the sun, the earth and the moon, which is revolving around what entity, and to add, is the earth round? Kindly elaborate. So first of all, the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, ما أشهدتهم خلق السماوات والأرض ولا خلق أنفسهم, that I did not make them to witness the creation of the heavens and the earth, nor the creation of themselves. So this knowledge of the creation of what they call the universe and the creation of themselves, meaning us, life, then both of these for the kuffar, it is a field of speculative knowledge. Because you did not witness the creation, neither of the heavens and the earth, nor of man himself, then you have no way of doing any science in the true meaning of the word science, the scientific method. You cannot apply the scientific method neither to this, neither to that. Therefore, all the ilm of the kuffar in these two fields is speculation. That's the first point. Secondly, Allah Azza wa Jal, He said it in the Quran, وَمَنْ أَصْدَقُ مِنَ اللَّهِ قِيلًا, and He said, وَمَنْ أَصْدَقُ مِنَ اللَّهِ حَدِيثًا, and He said, قُلْ أَأَنْتُمْ أَعْلَمُ أَمِ اللَّهِ. So He said, who is better in speech than Allah? And who is truer in speech than Allah? And say, are you more knowledgeable, or is Allah? And so when we find in the Quran very clear, explicit statements, as Shaykh Ibn Baz rahimahullah ta'ala, he wrote a risala many decades ago in the 60s, establishing the orbit of the sun around the earth. And he established many evidences from the Quran, many ayat from the Quran, from them in Surah Yasin, وَكُلٌّ فِي فَلَكٍ يَسْبَحُونَ. Right, the sun, the moon, all of them are in an orbit, circulating in an orbit. Likewise, the hujjah of Ibrahim alayhi salam against Nimrod, when he claimed that he is able to give life and take life. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْتِي بِالشَّمْسِ مِنَ الْمَشْرِقِ فَأْتِ بِهَا مِنَ الْمَغْرِبِ. Indeed, Allah brings the sun from the east, so bring it from the west. And many other evidences from the Quran, such that the ulama are agreed that anyone who denies that the sun is in motion around the earth and the sun in its motion produces night and day, he is a disbeliever. Because this is takdeeb. This is saying Allah did not speak the truth. And likewise, the messenger did not speak the truth when he mentioned the hadith about Joshua, when he was engaged in war and he made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah made the sun to pause for a period of time. So all of these evidences establish that the earth is stationary and the sun is what is in motion. Likewise the stars, likewise the moon. The stars have the quickest motion, 23 hours 56 minutes. The sun has on average 24 hours, and the moon has roughly 25 hours to make a circulation. And because of that variation in these three movements, we get the different timings of the moon, and we get the different constellations, the buruj, in the background of which the moon appears in different phases. And all of these are used for the purposes of beautification, telling the time, direction, and so on and so forth. It has been created in this manner. So that's the second thing, that the Muslim scholars are agreed that the earth is stationary and that the sun, moon, and stars are in motion above the earth. The third point that needs to be mentioned here is that the kuffar, when they claim that, or when they claim what they claim about the solar system, this is simply a model, and the reason why they chose this model going back many, many centuries is because many of these so-called astronomers, they were actually astrologers. They were astrologers, right? And they had a problem of accurately predicting the position of some of the planets because they needed these positions in order to make predictions for the kings, because they used to work in the courts of the kings. And they used to make predictions about war, famine, death, things like this. And they were looking for an accurate way to define mathematically the motion of the, of the planets. So the issue of the sun came because there was some influence from Egypt. There was a system called Hermeticism, which is a system of magic and astronomy and different things mixed together, where the sun takes the central position as if it is a god in the sky. Because the sun is the thing which gives life to everything. It is like a god in the sky. So there's multiple reasons why they chose to try a model with the sun in the middle. Right? So people like, Galileo, Kepler, and Copernicus, this is what they did. However, if you look at all of the scientists, I have many, many quotations from the scientists, and they say that it is purely a philosophical choice. There's nothing scientific about this, which one you choose, whether you put the sun in the middle or whether you put the earth in the middle. The mathematics is exactly the same. You can put the moon in the center of everything, and then you can reconstruct the entire mathematics to fit that model, right? So meaning that this is purely a philosophical choice. What you feel like you want to put in the center, it will work for you. So these people, these astrologers, these astronomers, they put the sun in the middle, not because of any science or any evidence or whatever, but because of influence from this hermetic magic and, and this they don't tell you in the school books. They don't teach you this in school, nor will you find it in the books, that all of these people, Kepler, Copernicus, they were fortune tellers, astrologers. They erased that from the books. And they give you this fairy story about, these were scientists and the scientific revolution and all of that. This is lies. It is not true, right? And so that's a third point. And finally, the fourth point, I won't go into it in too much detail, but I'll summarize it very quickly, which is that in the 19th century, when there were the means available to actually test whether the sun is in motion or not, because things about light and electricity and things like that were discovered, and also industrialization, you were able to make tools and instruments by which you can detect is the earth in motion or not. So from the early 19th century, from 1810 to 1880, there was a range of experiments done with light and its propagation, and all of them failed to detect any motion of the earth whatsoever, right? So now there was a huge dilemma in science in that time, which is either Copernicus was totally wrong and everything we've been saying for 400, 500 years is totally wrong, or we have to somehow fudge these results and these experiments in order to maintain the illusion that the earth is in motion. And so this is where Einstein and people like that, they came and they found it's like a mind trick that they did with all this relativity to basically fudge all the physics and to rewrite a new physics to maintain the illusion that the earth is in motion around the sun. So I won't go into that into too much detail, but all you need to know is that as believers, what Allah has mentioned in His Kitab is sufficient. وَمَنْ أَصْدَقُ مِنَ اللَّهِ قِيلًا. And that's enough for the believer. Beyond that, we are not in need of the speculations and the ramblings and the conjectures of the kuffar. Right? The book of Allah is sufficient for us, and that's what we put our iman in. And that would be sufficient, inshallah ta'ala.